Hey, Happy New Year's 2020. It's New Year's Day. Go ahead and share your New Year's resolution in the comments below, even if you're watching this in August. If you stick with me to the end of the video, I'm going to go ahead and share my resolutions for this channel. And today we're going to attach the fretboard, which last video we routed a small depression into the back of the fretboard in order to make up for the truss rod that sticks out just a little bit. Kind of a mistake, but this is what we've done to compensate for the mistake. It's going to go right on here over the truss rod where the depression is, for the trench is right there, and we are going to be able to sit flat on our neck. And we're going to glue this on, and then we will go ahead and shape it down to the shape of the neck. Okay then, so before we get into actually working with the fretboard, we're going to talk briefly about some of the technicalities of measurements within luthiery, and specifically about the fretboard. So again, this is a 34-inch scale guitar, which means it goes 34 inches from the inside edge of the nut to the bridge. And there's 34 inches between where the string actually vibrates. So that means that we know right in the middle of that 34 inches is our 12th fret, and that's an octave. So there is a website, there are multiple websites that are fret calculators. You just plug in all your dimensions and your variables, and it spits out all the data that you need for almost any measurement you could think of. So this one that I'm using is called Fret to Find 2D. It's from a it's a website. The website is www.ekips.org. If you go there and you wanted to plug in some variables for a stringed instrument, it could be mandolin, it could be a ukulele, it could be a regular guitar, and you can actually set your very own scale, which, you know, there are standard scales in the industry, like 25.5 or 25-inch scales on certain brand name guitars. But in this case, we plugged in 34 inches for the scale of a bass guitar. We plugged in, it's got 5 strings, and we told it how far apart we want the strings to be spaced out, and how much overhang we want the fretboard, because that's only like 1/8 of an inch. And then it spits out all this data. All right, so that's a little intimidating. Don't let it intimidate you, because you only need a couple numbers on here, and it gets really precise, like down to the 100,000th. That's 5 spaces behind the decimal. Okay, so we know just off this data and the variables that we put in that our fretboard needs to be X length. So we got the zero nut, or the 0 fret, which is at the nut. That's 0 inches, and we go down each of the frets. Again, this is a fretless bass. We're not going to be plugging in the frets, so that's a relief to me. But it gives you the measurement between each fret. It gives you the measurement from the nut to the fret. It gives you the measurement from the fret to the bridge, if you need all that. But we need to know what the length of the fretboard is today. So we see that on string 1, the nut is at 0 and all the way down, and you also plug in how many frets you want it to be. This is a 24-inch fret guitar. Again, no frets, but it's got 24 positions, and we see that is 25.50368 inches from the nut. Okay, the nut we are automatically setting to the edge, so we're not going to cut this end. We're going to come all the way down to 25.5 inches just 25.5 inches. I'm not getting that precise. And that will be the length of our fretboard. I don't know if you can see on the camera. I'll angle it around so maybe the light will catch the pencil lead, but we are actually going to cut it at kind of a decorative arc here. So it's going to scoop out here, and it's going to have kind of a nice little interesting flare on the end of the fretboard. Yeah, so this is how it goes. It's going to have flare out at the bottom strings. So there you have it. It's going to be 25 inches, 25.5 inches minimum, and we're going to go ahead and chop out this scoop right now and shape it up real nicely. So this also gives me the opportunity to show off my brand new bandsaw. I haven't used it all that much, but it is so much better than what I was using with the Shopsmith. The Shopsmith is gone, and I got a reasonable price for it, and freed up a lot of space on my limited space shop. So here it goes. Now this is a cut that doesn't require a lot of precision, but if it does, I would have stayed well shy of the actual line. And then I would take it over to my oscillating spindle sander, which I'm going to do anyway. I'm going to take it over to the oscillating spindle sander, and then you would take the excess off right to the line, and that's how you get your most precise cut. You don't do precision cuts with the bandsaw. You get it close, and then you clean it up with the sander. Now the oscillating spindle sander is one of my all-time favorite tools, particularly this one by Rigid, which is available at Home Depot. This is a great tool because, you know, it's got a drum sander with multiple sizes of drums that you can have in there, like this small one. And it's also got a belt sander attachment. What's cool about this is it doesn't, not only does it turn, it also oscillates. It goes up and down, and I'll show you real quick. So it spins and it goes up and down. This is what we're going to use to clean up the edge of this cut that we just made with the bandsaw. See, made real quick work of that. So as we're going through all these milling operations with this fretboard, keep in mind this is not wood. This is a composite material from a company called Richlite. They were nice enough to send me over a couple of these to try out for my first time, and I'm going to use it for sure. It's working real great. So it sands great. This is essentially paper, like a lot of different layers of paper that are epoxied together and probably vacuum pressed, and I don't know what else they do to it, but it's real solid, probably just as solid as ebony. There's a lot of companies out there like Martin Guitars that actually use this material for their fretboards too. So I'm real excited to have the opportunity to use this stuff. Again, I'm going to do a proper review of this stuff. As I mentioned in the last video, I'm going to put it through some of the rigors of a bass guitar, and some of the rigors that a bass guitar would never stand up to. Like, we're going to burn it, we're going to soak it, we're going to just, you know, put it through a strength test, and I don't know, we'll have fun with it. But here we are. This is ready to glue on to the fretboard. All right, now we're going to glue on the fretboard to the actual neck, and we're going to commit to this thing. You'll never see the truss rod again or this surface. So first things first, we're going to take the inside surface and we're going to rough it up with some coarse grit sandpaper that I just pulled out of the drawer. This is 80 grit, so we're just going to scratch it up real good, and that should give the glue a lot of surface area to grab onto as we put this under pressure and let it dry. You just saw me rough up both faces of the glue surface. I even took a razor blade off camera and scored the face of the neck just to give it a little bit extra, just to give it that little bit extra something to grab hold of. We're using Titebond wood glue. We're going to go ahead and cover both faces completely, and then we're going to marry up the two faces, the fretboard and the neck, and then we're going back to clamps. Here we go.
Two hours later.
Well, I'm confident I got a really good bond between my fretboard and my neck. However, I got to looking at the fretboard and I should have thought of this sooner, but it's a little thicker than I want it to be. This is 0.3, 3/10 of an inch. Most fretboards are about good at 1/4 inch. I want to take this down a little thinner to 0.2 inches. So it would have been a lot easier if I thought of this before I mounted it, but we're going to take it over to the thickness sander, and take about 1/10 of an inch off, which is that much. And there you have it. 0.2 inches, that's 1/10 less than what we started with. Got a nice thin fretboard, and it's gonna shape up nicely. Back here at the bandsaw, we're going to just take off the excess overhang on the fretboard, and we'll probably get some of this this wasteboard off as well. Again, this is wasteboard just to keep everything level with the heel of the guitar neck for right now. As you saw, it was useful for when we went through the thickness planer. Without anything supporting the skinny part of the neck, that would not have worked over there. Okay, so now we're just going to get close to the neck, as close as we can, and then we're going to take it over to the flush trim router bit and make it all perfectly the same dimensions as the existing neck. Alright, so this is our last step for this video. We're going to, on the router table, we're going to be shaping the fretboard to the exact dimension of the actual neck that we've already got set. We're using the router table here with a top mounted router trim, with a top bearing mounted router bit. So what this is, it's a bearing, it's a roller. It rolls right along the surface that you're copying, and then below the bearing is the cutting surface that spins against your direction of travel. If you want to know more about the trim router bit, go back a couple of videos where I posted something specifically about using the flush trim router bit. There it is, your mounted and shaped fretboard, and it is ready to move on to the next step. This was a simple task for today, but the next step, we're going to find our 12th position, probably somewhere right around here, and we're going to start the inlay of the cat with the bass clef tail. So we're going to start the inlay on that. It's going to be the pearl inlay, the same as in the initials on the back of the headstock, but we're going to put in the cat. Here's a picture of it. And then after the cat, we're going to inlay position markers at the top edge of the fretboard, and so we know where our notes are as we play them. Remember, fretless, no frets means there are no hints at where the number or where the notes are. So once we get that done, we're going to put a radius on the fretboard. It's a 14-inch radius, which is almost flat. A radius is the curve on the face of the fretboard that all guitars have. Not all, but some have absolutely flat. But this will have a 14-inch radius, sanded radius on the fretboard, and I'm going to show you how that's done. One way how that's done. So, if anything, this video is a testament to how it is to work with the Richlite fretboard material. Again, this is laminated paper material. I think it's reclaimed, like recycled, but I can't say for sure. You can check the website on that. And I will know for sure when I do the stress test on this stuff for a separate video. So it cuts nicely, it sands nicely. I already know it lasers pretty well. I'll show you that. What else? It routes really good. So yeah, it's just like wood, might even be better. It's definitely a lot more stable because it's a lot more consistent throughout. With wood, you've got more dense parts than others, and you've also got the splinter effect because, well, wood is imagine if you were holding a bundle of straws. That's what wood is like. So it's just made out of strands of material. This is all flat paper, laminated. So far I really like it. So it's been almost 2 months since I posted, more like 6 or 7 weeks. But this is a very busy shop. I do more than just building guitars. As I said before, guitar building is my hobby. I've got so much more going on here that's more of a side business. So for example, in November and December, I basically had to shut down all fun work. First of all the work is fun, but I had to shut it down because I get really busy for Christmas season, and I particularly get really busy making ornaments on the laser. I've made close to 1,000 of these ornaments and shipped them out to various customers, but now that that's over, I can get back to doing more of this stuff that is just for fun. Now my goals for this channel in the coming new year is to be more consistent, obviously. I just said I haven't posted for 7 weeks. I'd like to do more like every 2 weeks. The filming and editing of these projects does take a considerable amount of time for me anyway. And also when I have to film, it slows down the whole process. I am doing this guitar in at least 2 or 3 times as long as it should, just because I'm having to stop and change my video angle and think about what I want to say and re-say it and get it just right, and then I have to take it all up to the computer and process the videos, and you don't want to hear about that. If you do want to hear about that, there's probably other channels about that. So anyway, I want to get more consistent, probably posting at least 2 to 3 times a month, and then I want to grow the channel. Obviously I'm getting quite a bit of traction, but I'm not seeing many subscribers as I am views. I would like to actually grow that, and the purpose for that is I actually want to get monetized, and there's certain parameters I have to meet with YouTube to get them to monetize my channel. Why do I want to get monetized? Because I want to build these guitars basically for free. Right now it's an expense, and I basically sell these guitars at expense. I can't and won't ever compete with your Guitar Center guitars, because they can just like the Fender factories and the Gibsons, they can turn those out so much quicker and you know, make things a lot cheaper. That's economics and mechanization for you. But it's really hard to be profitable making guitars one at a time. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to find somebody who deserves a nice custom guitar and basically give it to them. And monetization of this channel would help do that. So if you like what I'm doing and you know somebody else who might like what I'm doing, encourage them to come along and subscribe as well. I have to get 1,000 subscribers before YouTube will review my content to certify it, basically. So there it is. That's my goal for the new year. Grow the channel, be more consistent. But this is a guitar that I built while in Afghanistan. I'm a soldier, by the way. I built this guitar because it's what I do. I build guitars, and I was in Afghanistan for a year, and I had to build a stinking guitar. So this is an ammunition can for a machine gun, and I put some custom wound pickups that somebody donated to me